Hello, good evening. In 10 minutes, I would be starting, and then I would be sending over this link to our co host. So, let me just see. I'm using a slideshow here, so you have something to see. If you're watching here on YouTube, ouch. If you're watching here on YouTube, then you will be seeing this slideshow. Although chances are I would also create a backup on my account at Podbean. Maybe I just try it out creating an account there or see if a podcast that would work there. And yeah, like we just copy this. I'd be sending it over to our co-host, Jodini. And while we are waiting for him, then I'll be preparing for our show. Because shortly, I already prepared a note here. I've already given him some of the initial notes. And then we'll be starting the show. So yeah, you have 10 minutes to go. Mhm. 10 minutes to go. Okay, so chances are I'd be also sending it over here, checking on my other social media accounts just to make sure that the links. Oh, wait, yeah, yeah. Okay. Mag-makeup pa. Mag-makeup pa ako while waiting for co-host. Ang galante naman nung ano, nung isang super chatter, grabe. As in, grabe talaga. Grabe. Let's see. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Jing.
Yeah, I'm still preparing. Although I mentioned that, yeah, I still have about 10 minutes to go since I mentioned, oh, we have 2 minutes more. So, yeah, I'm just trying to finish this up. Man, good thing I already prepared the slideshow. I added some notes because the main reason I had her as a topic, well, you have Netflix too, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you have Netflix, so chances are you've already heard somewhere that there's about to be a mini series about this girl, and
Ah.
it they're only saying that it's about to get aired in 2020, but it's already December, still no date.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Okay, my makeup is not sponsored, but yeah, it's still worth mentioning. It's LA Girl. There's some American brands that made it here to the Philippines at least. So yeah, some of the notes are here on the laptop, and some of them, well, I already have it here. And the photos that I've used for the slideshow that I created in Canva, they're from the Instagram page of Anna Delvey. Anna Delvey, well, that's how she introduced herself. Main references will be um, thecut.com, although it's occasionally uh, mentioned as. I'm just a little distracted. Okay, so be the cut, although some references refer to as New York Magazine, so um, I'll be interchanging between New York Magazine and the cut, and also I've used reference as BBC podcast. That's one of the more recent references, about a year old, and then of course other most of the sources are from New York Post, since it's New York Post um, that really that really kept tab of her. You know. So I would simply have to go ahead and start pitching the other links. Make sure that everyone gets to see things I've been doing here, and tell them that, hey, time for you to like my video and like my live stream. Make sure that you are on because we have 4 people watching. That's nice. Here we go, and then okay. So good evening, everyone that finally arrived here. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I'm just checking on the chat, and some of them are already here. And I have some of the engagement pods mentioned. I have to tell, hey, the podcast is live. We are live, and I hope who else would be there. Okay, okay. So here we go. I have my Microsoft Word here. We would be covering how she first came as Anna Delvey because if you have a little idea now, there's something shady about her because how Anna Delvey got offended with the tag wannabe socialite. So let's begin. So, as narrated in New York Magazine, aka thecut.com, Anna Delvey faced her remaining friends, and wailed about how the New York Post called her a wannabe socialite. So much was said in the article entitled Wannabe Socialite Busted for Skipping Out on Pricey Hotel Bills, and the phrase she found offensive is wannabe socialite, which says a lot about her. That pretty much says a lot about Anna Delvey. And if you notice how I would call her Anna Delvey instead of simply her last name, chances are this is the first time you're hearing about her. Otherwise, you may simply listen, because this episode of Untold Legends, airing every 9 p.m. Philippine time Saturday, live streaming here on YouTube, we try to cover the parts that other news articles may have missed. Because, as much as New York Magazine has become the often mentioned reference for everything that Anna Delvey did, we try to uncover who are the unnamed individuals there, if any. And there's a lot of them there. Oh, the thumbs up raid is going on. Yeah, we're being raided. I like these raids. It's like getting stream sniped, but in a good way. Thank you, everyone to that arrived here. Oh, here we go. You're free to stay. Yeah, like I've mentioned, Joe. You remember I mentioned to you the engagement pods have been before, right? This is
Yes.
so it's going on here on the comment section on the live chat. By the way, thank you very much for arriving, and you'd really enjoy staying here because that girl you're seeing on the slideshow, she's our main topic. That's how she looked like. If ever she looks like a local celebrity, she looks like the Filipina actress Barbie Forteza. Okay. Oh my God, some people are already complaining that my English is too deep. Sorry. Sorry for my English. Oh, okay. Anyway, although I already informed them that you would be my co-host, and yeah, so you'd be my co-host, and you'd be. I just let me just ask. Are you familiar with the Church Missions House?
No.
No, but you're from New York, right?
Well,
You've
my
been
family was from New York.
okay.
I got a lot of family up in New York. So you can, I mean, if I were to ask them, they would probably be like, "Oh, those bums."
Oh, the bums. Oh, the bums. Why do they have to be called the bums? On the other hand, it's like mm, I'm not familiar with that. Maybe because I just researched about this. She once trended She trended almost alongside that of Billy McFarlane of the Fire Festival infamy, except
Mm.
that her infamy was eclipsed by the Fire Festival. So maybe around that time, there's so many scammers that got exposed, and she's one of them. But you know what? So many trending topics, only one can trend, and it almost got eclipsed. But if not for her antics, you know, ouch. If not for her antics, people will not remain interested in her because, as I've mentioned here, if the public is fascinated enough with her story, so much that even Shonda Rhimes bought her story as a Netflix miniseries, then interest with Anna Delvey would never wane. Also, Anna Delvey herself will not let that happen. More on that later, because some of the best parts are here on the offline notes. So chances are, if you have already come across this episode, chances are you are familiar with Anna Delvey, or you're not, or you're just looking out for the next big TV series that would hit um, Netflix. Who knows? Because right now, everyone's favorite reference for Anna Delvey is the BBC podcast "Fake Heiress." That title may seem like a spoiler to you, but it's not really because there's a lot that can be covered here. You can analyze where she learned how to scam people or where she. Oh my god.
Your dog does not like Anna.
My dog doesn't like everyone. Well, the dog doesn't like anyone that I discuss here. Then, you know, dogs, they tend to smell who the scammers are, who are the, what my other my other subscribers would call as Boodle Queens or Boodle Kings. No, scamming methods. But she was a work in progress. So we will start at the time that she finally used the name Anna Delvey. Like, because here, since I've mentioned the BBC podcast presented the dramatization as to where Anna Delvey first hit the socialite scene by meeting Tommy Saleh. I'd like to give a shout out to the dog. It's like they've always been this. Anyway, oh crap.
Is there some type of fight going on out there?
No, it's the main problem with having some mongrels. They bark at everything, and when you have cats that troll the dogs, yeah, they bark a lot.
Cats
That's all.
trolling dogs.
Yeah. Okay, so I've already checked here, and why Tommy Saleh is the starting point here because he's the marketing director that New York Magazine got in touch with, at least. So whenever uh whenever something comes up, there are people that are willing to share their stories and let their name out there, and there are people willing to share their stories on the condition that you will not mention their names. Unfortunately, if you have multiple sources, you end up finding who these names are. So, at least in this case, when it comes to the point of view of Tommy Saleh, he referred to Anna Delvey as one of who's at all the best parties. She appeared to be close to Olivia Zam, Purple Magazine's editor in chief. That was the magazine in Germany where Anna was an intern. So it usually happens. Someone becomes an intern in a high profile magazine that featured the parties. It's like in the newspaper where it's the society pages and like, why am I watching this? I mean, maybe they just like to be featured on the major publications, partying with a glass of margarita in hand. So yeah, so it's through Tommy Saleh that Anna Delvey gained access to most of the parties. In the podcast series, they reconstructed the scene where Anna Delvey called Saleh several times, since almost all of the calls got directed to voicemail, and consistent with the message. And I would be adopting my Russian German mixed accent here. Hi, this is Anna Delvey. We met at so and so party. So you maybe you're familiar with this kind of line. Like, hey, we met at I met at this party. I think we should be friends. That kind of line.
It's a network line. We say it all the
Mm-mm.
time when we meet someone at a party. It's like, oh, hey, remember we met at that wedding we were so drunk at? Well, hey, I wanted to do business. That's usually how it works in America, most likely.
Mm. Yeah, I'm just happy that I have you here because you can confirm how some of these networking parties work. Oh God, it really shows up how much of an introvert I am. Like, so okay. Eventually, she got access to Saleh. It turned out to be a way for her to know more people, as Saleh mentioned. Then we're just hanging with my friends all of a sudden. So, hey, you're Tommy's friend. We should be friends too, that kind of stuff. And how she introduced herself as from Cologne, Germany. Native German speakers, though, could tell that her German isn't very good. It's okay, my German isn't very good either. So, but they didn't mind as they have some perceived German errors to hang around with. She looked rich. She acted rich. When one of the club DJ LED's friends commented on her dress, there's this friend that she met through Tommy. Her name is LD. She's one of the club DJs in one of the parties that she frequented. And then her friend commented on the dress that it looked great. So Anna Delvey replied, instead of saying thank you, she answered Balenciaga. It's one of the stories that Dee told BBC about the encounters with Anna Delvey, a woman about her personality that, yeah, they met through Saleh. It's like, we're not asking what's the brand of your dress, we're just commenting on how nice it is. Okay. It was also through Saleh that Anna Delvey met one of the first men she dated in her party going life. A man simply referred to as the futurist. The futurist in the New York Magazine article. And BBC named that man as Hunter Lee Soik. I checked out his profile and he looked Asian. I'll just write it here. Oh, thank you very much. Mega mega shout out to Kristen Validor. Mega mega shout out to everyone who came over to watch our program here. So Hunter Lee Soik. Um, Hunter Lee Soik was not interviewed by BBC, but if you would be reading on the lines of the article from New York Magazine, it seems like he's the same technopreneur that the New York Magazine interviewed for this article. So for most of this episode, we would be referring to him as the futurist because it's not clear how they broke up. So while dating the futurist, they talked about either the app he's been trying to develop. He's an app developer. That's how he presented himself. And then he would be marketing this app on Kickstarter. So whenever they were together, either they were talking about the app that the futurist is developing or the Art Foundation project that Anna Delvey has been trying to raise funds for. On why the need to raise funds, Anna Delvey claimed that her trust fund won't be accessible to her not until she turns 21, which is why I had to include this slideshow. She doesn't look 21 here. Does she look 21 to you?
No, she looks like she's 18.
Yeah, she looks quite young based on the Instagram photos that she posted. And in the BBC podcast, Anna Delvey mentioned that her ultimate key to relevance is Instagram. It's like it's becoming the new thing or the new social media for the hip and young crowd. Like, okay, so the story and how she ended up having a trust fund depends on who Anna Delvey talked to. The futurist told New York Magazine that her family got their wealth from trading antiques in Germany. Um, Although he did not give any details on whether the family owned the antiques or they bought it elsewhere and then traded it at a higher price, at a markup. So, other stories claimed Anna Delvey, saying that her father is either an oil tycoon from Russia, a technopreneur dealing with solar panels, or some European royalty plucked out of an ancient castle to live in the real world. That's partly true, maybe, if only. Maybe because she looked like some German Fräulein lost in the real world, if we check on their photos. So, through connections, okay, the only consistent story, by the way, is the private club slash art foundation. That's the only story that's consistent about what she's been telling people. She would name the club as ADF, like Anna Delvey Foundation, because despite feedback from her branding advisor, London creative director Mark Kremers, about the name being too narcissistic, she went on. Like, if I would name my foundation Jing Dalagan Foundation, I was like, oh God, how narcissistic of you. Like, maybe if we name Jodini Foundation, maybe it doesn't sound so narcissistic, maybe.
Yeah, the naming is important. If you want to get people to donate to your charity, I mean, it's got to actually stand for a cause. I mean, the
Mm,
title is very important in that instance. Like, if you don't say what, I mean, the title should be basically telling you what charity it is so
mm.
that you get an understanding. If it's just like somebody's name, the only reason you do that is if you're enough of a celebrity where people would donate to you just because of who you are.
Yeah, I agree with that because at this point, who is she? Like, why would she even name her foundation that? Like, makes you think twice about it. So, okay, so she was. So back to the story here. Um, Through connections like the real estate advisory company Calatrava Grace, she found help to secure the lease on what she claimed as the perfect space, 45,000 square foot, occupying 6 floors of the historic Church Missions House. So this is why I asked you a while ago if you're familiar with that area. Um, and it really sounded ambitious. 45,000 square feet occupying 6 floors. What,
I
all this
am.
space? Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so through the real estate advisory company, at least the company was using Anna Delvey's words, on the spot will rise a dynamic visual arts center. The New York Magazine then mentioned how this club would come with, and to quote Anna Delvey, with pop-up shops curated by artist Daniel Arsham, whom she knew from her Purple Days, in exhibitions and installations from blue chip artists like Urs Fischer, Damien Hirst, Jeff Koons, and Tracy Emin. Um, and of course, only Jeff Koons is familiar to me because of that copyright case he got involved into in the past. As for the others, Anna Delvey obviously knew her market because, or she knew the market she's trying to attract. Once she started telling people how the artist Christo had agreed to wrap the building. I checked on Google the installations that Christo made. It's like there's this big building, and then he would drape it with fabric, and the draping was so beautiful it ends up becoming artistic. It becomes a work of art. Okay, so maybe you can try googling it too. I would type the name here, Google Christo. I just if not if I haven't checked out the art, I wouldn't know that she already died. And although her name was immortalized in these installations that she made. So yeah, if she's trying to attract the artistic crowd, it's like she didn't really drop names. Like it's like she's emulating the business plan of the building owner, Abby Rosen, when it comes to pitching a private club. This is the same man that owned 11 Howard, one of the hotels in New York that Anna Delvey stayed in. So Anna Delvey described her vision to Richie Notar, one of the founders of the high-end restaurant Nobu, and told New York Magazine that a private members-only club would include, and to quote, three restaurants, a juice bar, and a German bakery, end of quote. Notar also claimed Anna Delvey, saying that her family is funding this big project for her, since they are prominent in Germany. The part about acting rich was more evident in the story that Nefertari Davis is the name of the reception or the concierge at 11 Howard. She said that um, so she was saying that Anna is not actually racist but classist. Like she would be talking to this hotel employee and then she would say, "What are you bitches broke? What are you bitches broke?" Uh, It's the
Yeah,
kind of
so
behavior. Yeah.
discriminatory.
Mm-mm. You're not being racist, but you're being classist. So it's the kind of behavior that hotel employees tolerated for a while since she gave out $100 tips, like crisp $100 bills. It's not surprising to see some bellboys fighting over who gets to help her first because, hey, there's $100 bill at the end of the service. Doesn't matter where her wealth came from, it's still money. Because of these tips, even the restaurants she frequented offered her dishes that are not even on the menu, as narrated in a video in Vanity Fair. And since I checked her Instagram, it seems that she's into lobsters. I rarely get to taste lobsters. I've tasted crab, but that's it.
Well,
So
I
she
don't like seafood in general, so I wouldn't go for it.
why? Got an
It's
allergy?
just not tasty for me.
Okay. So back to the story here. She captured the attention of the New York elite simply because she looked and acted the part. She doesn't even need to be polite in saying that. She doesn't even need to be polite in trying to dominate Big Apple. It seems like, hey, she doesn't need to say please or be polite or whatever. You give them $100 bill, they forget about how rude you are to them. I don't always agree with that. Anyway, learning by association. That's the next section that we have here. Anna Delvey's association with the futurists serve as the fulcrum, meaning there are people that wanted to meet the futurist, and then they learned that he was dating Anna Delvey, so they would be approaching Anna Delvey. So, as we enacted in the BBC podcast, her association with the futurist made her the go to person for anyone that wanted to meet him. They were like, hey, you're a friend of Hunter Lee Soy. Can you please introduce me to him? Like, okay. So one of them was Michael Zufu Huang, founder and owner of Beijing's M. Woods Museum. He mentioned to the New York Magazine, or thecut.com, how he went out with Anna Delvey in hopes of meeting the futurist. So, since it's not really confirmed that Anna Delvey and the futurist went beyond the dating phase, she was also dating other people. And these people were dating Anna because they wanted to meet the futurist. Next thing that Michael Zufu Wang realized, she convinced him to book the plane tickets for their trip to Venice Biennale and pay him later via wired money transfer. Wang found that strange. But for him, to quote, it was not a lot of money, like $2,000 or $3,000. I feel so poor.
And don't feel
And
don't feel bad. I mean, all of these people end up going down the drain at least one some point.
yeah, anyway, back to the story. He kind of forgot, Michael Zufu Huang kind of forgot about the $3,000 since he ended up meeting more and more people through her. It's like you sense the cycle here. Anna met a lot of people through Tommy Saleh, and then Michael Zufu met a lot of people through Anna Delvey. It's like, yeah, network, network, network. So people who would describe these people as very cool, very successful people, at least in his point of view. Well, he may have known since he owned a museum in Beijing. So eventually, Huang got identified with Anna Delvey due to her Instagram posts that featured them together. I can't find those posts anymore because there's a lot of photos that got deleted in the current version of the Instagram account that Anna Delvey has. So he just allowed these people to interview him because you want to know someone, at least you have to interview someone that hung out with them. So Juan got identified with Anna Delvey. Next thing he realized, one of the favorite restaurants that Anna Delvey went into, contacted Huang if she's still in contact with her. And then they told her why. Because she didn't pay her bill. That's when Wang told himself, oh my god, she's not legit.
That's all it took. You didn't do any background checking. You didn't look into her history. You didn't see her net worth. Sometimes
Well, he
people
was,
just make mistakes like that.
yeah, it does happen. You were so, well, maybe she liked her, maybe he liked her too. On the other
That
hand, he
too.
wanted to meet, yeah, maybe he wanted to meet all of these people. He just, oh, okay, I'll just book a couple of tickets for her, and then she'd wire the money transfer, and no money transfer arrived. So yeah, he's left holding the bag.
He was simping.
Mm-mm. It's it yeah. It took a lot of courage for him to admit that, at least in public. So okay, the BBC podcast implied that Huang is not the first person whom Anna Delvey did this. Someone else's card got charged to the tune of $32,000, more or less, for hotel and restaurant expenses. Perhaps the Futurist Act failed to foresee this. The Futurist is an interesting topic in the future, but because of his association to Anna Delvey, yeah, we can always talk about mm, Anna Delvey first. So, in other words, it seems like Anna Delvey is that kind of friend who invites you to a dinner party and skip town once it's time to split the bill. You are then left to pay the bill among yourselves. So, as for that $32,000 charge, it seems like Anna Delvey knows how to keep a stash of credit card numbers, at least based on some stories mentioned in the New York Magazine article. Well, more on that later. So now you know why some references about Anna Delvey are willing to spill the tea as long as their identities are kept under wraps. Too bad she didn't realize her reputation would be put in even more questionable status once she started dating Martin Shkreli, aka the farmer bro, aka the most punchable face on the internet. I'm sorry, I need to say that. because, like, because if ever there's one person that made him feel like a computer nerd, it was Anna Delvey. She seemed to know everyone around town. On the other hand, she learned something from Shkreli. I always have a problem saying that last name. Well, She learned from Squelly that buying domains under the names of people who she thought wronged her, while Shkreli bought domains under the names of journalists whom he perceived as being unfair to him. Anna Delvey bought domains under the names of hotel managers whom she perceived of being unfair to her. Those are the same hotel managers from the 11 Howard Hotel that locked up her staff for failing to pay her accommodations. While she keeps claiming that a friend will pay instead of handing them a functioning credit card, no friend came to pay for her bill. It's like, I have a friend to pay. Then no friend arrived. It was a situation that Neff Davis confirmed to New York Magazine. So, okay, why does she why doesn't she have a credit card? It's not that the banks don't trust Anna Delvey enough. Actually, she secured a loan by getting in touch with Joel Cohen. This is the same Joel Cohen known for prosecuting the Wolf of Wall Street himself, Jordan Belfort. And I haven't watched The Wolf of Wall Street yet. Was that a good movie?
It's one of Scorsese's best movies that he's done.
Wow.
Definitely in like the top 10.
I will say though, it's a good movie to watch simply
Mm,
to understand how gangster activity works in America. I mean, Scorsese
mm,
does that in most of his movies anyway, but this is more of a modern take on it because it happened
mm,
pretty recently.
yeah.
So it's a good understanding of exactly what happens when you try to get too greedy and the crimes then
Mm,
eventually end up biting you in the on your behind later. And they got through so many FBI investigations that it
mm,
pretty much destroyed his life.
mm, mm. So who played Joel Cohen in the movie?
Let's see, Leonardo DiCaprio played the main role.
Yeah,
um
Jordan Belfort.
yeah, I want to hold on. I think it's Jonah Hill.
Oh, Jonah Hill. Isn't
Hold
he
on.
the assistant?
Yeah, he's the assistant. Hold on. I'm gonna look up the names of the. Oh wow, there's a Wolf of Wall Street that came out in the 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the
And
name
the
of the
Wolf of Wall
person
Street.
again?
Joel Cohen.
Joel Court. All right, keep going. I'm gonna try to look it up.
It's okay. I'll just continue here. Because by the time Anna Delvey got in touch with Joel Cohen, he's already working in a firm handling real estate practice. So Cohen, in turn, referred her to Andy Lance. Andy Lance is one of those financial financial executives. So Anna Delvey herself told New York Magazine, yes, the people at New York Magazine or thecut.com got in touch with her, and she told him that she appreciated the way Lance explained the terms of the loan. So she said, he would explain to me the right amount without being patronizing. End of quote. Lance was practically at her beck and call. Like, to quote, in the middle of the night, or when he was in Turks on Caicos for Christmas. End of quote. Through Lance, the email was quoted in the proposal as saying, our client Anna Delvey is undertaking a very exciting redevelopment of 281 Park Avenue South, backed by a marquee team for this type of venue and space. So at least there's an address that was written here. And then documents used to prove Anna Delvey's capacity to pay was, according to the same New York Magazine article, as UBS statements, these were documents sent over by a man named Peter W. Henneke, and Henneke was described by Anna as the head of the family office. So, okay, this is the man that's handling the business. She's sending the documents over, proving that Anna has the capacity to pay all of these. Okay. So, the cracks in the facade eventually came forward, and LD only managed to share her story because the scandal broke out. People were reaching out to her Let me write her name here, LD, because you might simply think it's simply L and then D. No, it's not that. LD, a DJ, a Brazilian immigrant who ended up becoming a DJ in Europe. And she was one of the earliest acquaintances to send something weird in Anna Delvey. So she can't help but notice, if Anna Delvey is as rich as she claims to be, why does she have to sleep over with the rest of the party guests in a single hotel suite? Like, this is how they presented it in the podcast. Oh, she's new. Tommy Soler would introduce Anna as someone who's new in New York, and she needed to meet a lot of friends. Like, if she needed a lot of friends, she doesn't need to sleep over in the same suite with the rest of the guests, or the party guests. So in this case, LB didn't expect Anna Delvey's scam to blow up until media outlets like the BBC reached out to her to ask if she got scammed too. That's when she had to clarify that she's not, although she was close to it. And based on her first person account of her knowledge of Anna Delvey, she dodged a bullet. If ever there's one person that had the most opportunities to see the cracks in the facade, it was Nefertari Davis, the same concierge, oh, the same concierge at the 11 Howard Hotel. Because here's the thing, she's the concierge. She knew who is the son of the owner of the building. Abby Rosen owned 11 Howard, and then she got to talk to Charlie Rosen, the son, and then um, Davis told her that one of Abby Rosen's clients was booked in the hotel, and of course he ended up asking, "Where is she booked again?" "It's in a deluxe." And he was like, "If she's really a client of my father, do you think she would be in a deluxe or in a suite?" I don't got familiar with the differences between the two personally because I once wrote articles for hotels when they're trying to market them. Of course, I need to know the difference between deluxe and suite, and a suite is bigger. And you see the point that Charlie Rosen was trying to say here. If she's really a client of Abby Rosen, she'd be in a much bigger suite. Of course, Anna Delvey has an explanation to that. She was like, person done something for you, want to pay them in return. Davis was so impressed with that answer. She said, "Genius, genius." Okay, okay, okay. She's a genius. So, unfortunately, maybe you see this coming. The 11 Howard is not the only hotel she stiffed. Vanity Fair's short video also enumerated other hotels and restaurants that Anna Delvey failed to pay. It's like they mentioned the Big Man, they mentioned um, the W, there's also the W. So they're basically like three restaurants mentioned: 11 Howard, the Big Man, W. They even mentioned the high end restaurants like Le Coco, the ones that served lobster, even items that are not on the menu yet. Yeah, they started serving those. And she had all this opportunity to see what this is all about. Then next thing they realized that she had, it's like several months passed. Took a while for Davis to see her again because what happened was she went around town again, and then they realized that she had fewer friends by the time that they see each other again. And then, of course, Anna Delvey's explanation for that was that she was too busy for parties anyway, and that she was building her business. So her remaining friends consisted of this fitness trainer, and then that photo editor from Vanity Fair, Rachel Deloche Williams. So that that trainer, she told Vanity Fair. Until now, I haven't found her name yet, but she told, oh no, not Vanity Fair. She told New York Magazine that, to quote, I know a lot of trust fund babies, and I was impressed that Anna had something that she wanted to do instead of, you know, living like a Kardashian. That's end of quote from the trainer. Okay.
Because there was competition for that.
As if there's a competition for the who's the most useful, most socially aware trust fund baby out there. Like, why can't you just be useful? Doesn't matter whether you're a trust fund baby or not. Anyway, so of course, so Davis asked Anna Delvey, "What happened to your friends?" And it was rather shallow of Anna Delvey to say, "They all mad. I left Purple." And I already mentioned Purple magazine as that publication where she once interned. There were, the- she's not even consistent with the story. There are some people she told, "Oh yes, I was an intern at Purple," and then there were some people who said, "Yes, I was an associate editor at Purple." Like, whoa, from intern to associate editor, what happened? And, and of course, the problem with that story is it cannot be verified because none of the publications I've seen so far could contact the editor in chief at that time of Purple magazine, Olivier Zahn. So there you go. She was working at this magazine, and then she met these other people, and the next thing you realize there's only a handful left. So yeah, while it was true that yeah she's working, that she's always frowning at her inbox and huffing into the phone, according to New York Magazine. Um, Davis said that she was always on the phone with lawyers, and they were always toning her down. Like, I know you're trying to make something that's worth this much, be worth that much, and that's just not how it works. Well, at least she has some lawyers to tell her what to do. Well, so here they were referring to the loan that she had with City National back in December of 2016, 2017. And then there was a bank that already turned down her loan request. Mm. And Anna Delvey made it look like it's a management decision because she still has Andy Lance doing the dirty work for her of reaching out to hedge funds and other banks for alternate financing. It's like she's not searching out the venture capitalists or some other form of financing because, according to Anna Delvey, she doesn't like being told what to do, which is quite an irony because, hey, you're trying to raise funds. Of course, these people funding your project, they will have a say on your project. And it's not just about what is it in return for them. So, and she was angry. Anna Delvey was angry. She was even saying, how do they even pay for that? It's like two old guys. Like, she was just upset. Trying to have this loan, and they can't get it. And then it ended up with two old guys. Like, oh my god. So it's also at this point that it's becoming obvious that she's having cash flow issues of her own. So here's the part. Remember, I mentioned the part a while ago about having all of these credit card numbers. Then here's what happened. How it became evident that she has so many credit card numbers without a physical credit card number to back it up. Like, what happened was, to quote a story here from New York Magazine, because this what happened here was she was having dinner, and then this is one of those instances where she has a card, a physical card, and then the card was declined. So what she did was she had a list of credit card numbers. She handed them to the waiter so that the waiter would punch them one by one. It's like, this is so stressful. Like, she has the card number, she doesn't have the actual cards. So it it was in a small book or on the notes app on the phone. It's quite confusing if it's a physical notebook or just the notes app on the phone. But what Davis remembered more, and I quote, the waiter went back to his station and began entering the numbers. There were like 12, and I know the guy tried them all. He was trying it and then shaking his head. And then I started to sweat because I knew the bill was mine. So Davis was like, yeah, yeah, end of quote. So Davis was like, yeah, all this time she's been treating me to lunch. She's been treating me to dinner. Now her credit card's not working. None of the 12 credit card numbers she provided are working. So yeah, it means I ended up paying for it. And it's it's $286. Like, why are these dinners so expensive? What's so special about those? Like, oh, okay. Name of the restaurant is Saint Ambrose in Soho.
Oh, I
And
know that place.
you've been there?
Well, once when I was very little.
Okay, yeah, because there's a lot of Soho references in these in these articles because that's her hunting ground. That's her biggest hunting ground so far, at least. So while the amount $286 was not exactly as big as what Anna Delvey used to spend, it's it's still big for a concierge, for a person whose livelihood depended on being a concierge at 11 Harvard. So, of course, usual stuff. Hey, can you please cover this for me for now? And then I would just wire transfer the money to you, okay? Like, okay. So, it made Davis sick for good reason. But, well, there's no such thing as a free lunch. It's not always free. So, there you go. And then, being the concierge, of course, the 11 Howard had to call her. This is what I mentioned about a while ago about why she got the hotel managers' names as domains because she's the one that doesn't have a credit card on file. She doesn't have any other way to pay for this. So it could have been fine with a wire transfer if the wire transfer has actual money to wire. So total charges went up to $30,000, including charges from the hotel, the in-house restaurant Le Coco, because they've been billing that to her room as well. So this is another opportunity for Davis to see the light. Like, can't you see that she might not be actually who she says she is? Because of course, she will not see that because after that St. Ambrose debacle in Soho, Anna Delvey paid her back 3 times the actual amount that she owed her. Like, okay, maybe she'd let this slide again. So it's quite pressuring for Davis, but she had to tell Anna that she needed to pay her bill. Of course, Anna Delvey said that, yeah, the money would arrive soon. The money would arrive soon. And then midway into her shift, so Anna Delvey came by the desk again, and that's when she left a package. It's a case of 1975 Dom Perignon. I'm familiar with that brand because I once wrote articles about it for a client that I will not name. And then, of course, that case comes with instructions that Davis should distribute it among the staff. Of course, it's against policy, a policy that Anna Delvey may or may not know about because if you can't pay your bill but you're giving out this case of Dom Perignon wine to the staff, what does it say about you? So Gifts of the liquid variety, to quote the article from New York Magazine, gifts of, especially if the liquid variety, needed to be approved by the management. So, of course, the management did not approve this because you need to pay in cash, or you need to make sure that the wired money transfer goes through. And so here we are on why she's friends with this trainer, why Anna Delvey's friends with this trainer, because she she practically pleaded the trainer, can we do a life coaching session? So yeah, it's like, you know what happens when you are overwhelmed. You wanted to build something but you don't know what to do. That could have been excusable if you actually have the money, or you're trying to do something honest with your life. And then here is Anna Delvey complaining that no one is taking her seriously. It's like she's playing the victim card here. So yeah, of course, typical trainer. She told her to breathe, and then that she needed a break. That's when she thought of this trip to Morocco, to Marrakech, Morocco. hmm So she needed a break, and then, lo and behold, Citibank sent 11 Howard a wire transfer on behalf of Miss Anna Delvey for $30,000. Well, at least she got to pay that hotel for that bill. And then, of course, she arrived, Anna Delvey arrived at the hotel in a Tesla as if she's enjoying her victory ride. And then, of course, she was carrying another gift, this time just for Davis, meaning she was holding up this t shirt, and then she was saying, it's perfect for you. Like, well, it is perfect, and it's to describe the shirt was the exact orangey red of the creepy bathroom scene in The Shining, one of Neff's favorite movies. It's like, yeah, Anna Delvey knew what to do to make the people around her feel good. Mm. And the signature color of the brand, the Neff or Davis, Nefertari Davis. The article would often reference to her as Neff, and then she was trying to launch her own production company since she's an aspiring cinematographer at this time. So, and then Davis saw that the shirt was worth $400. Like, what? $400 for a shirt? Like, no. Okay. So this is where Anna Delvey started the, yeah, I'm about to see what in both fit. Even the story itself is unbelievable. It's like she was walking around, she got to see this this gathering on Berkshire Hathaway's annual investment conference. She ended up walking out there, and then she was claiming that she got to talk with these one percenters. Like, okay, the problem is pictures, or it didn't happen. Yeah, she's been posting photos of her adventures, including that photo by the plane, that photo by the bridge, that photo by practically anywhere that made her look richer than she actually is. So here it is. She's bragging about all of these things, and Davis failed to see that there's still a problem with Anna Delvey's account with 11 Howard. So yeah, she's still staying in the hotel because she thought that because she already paid $30,000 through a wire transfer, she can still stay there. But she's still not giving a functioning credit card. So, yeah, she's breaking up the charges again. So, since she's not paying attention to the warnings that were given to her, the hotel eventually changed the locks of the room that she was staying in. Because, hey, we've tried to tell you several times in the past that either you pay us or we're changing the locks. So here, is where she then went back to 11 Howard and started purchasing web domains in all of her managers' names. I don't always recommend that, especially if some web domains are not that cheap anymore. Like, like Joe, how much is the usual price for a website?
The useful price for a website, $20.
Oh wow, that means I got my current website at a nice price. It's quite cheap. By the way, it's from namecheap.com. I kind of recommend it if you're trying to stay within budget while putting up your own website. I might be featuring some some excerpts of this podcast there. Although the full podcast in video mode, I'll be posting there as well. So okay, and so since the trainer advised Anna Delvey to take a break because she's getting in over her head. She then decided to go to take a break, like this opulent resort in Marrakech named La Mamounia. La Mamounia, more identified with Richard Branson, and also since she was inspired by Khloe Kardashian, she reserved um, a room in La Mamounia that cost $7,000 a night. That includes the butler. So of course she asked Davis if she wanted to join because otherwise it would be just mm, her, Anna Delvey, Rachel Williams, the trainer, and Davis. So Davis can't take the time off. She can't get some vacation leave. And then in usual Anna Delvey fashion, she just said, just quit. Davis didn't quit her job just to go to Marrakesh with Anna Delvey. Also because Davis' mother told her that nothing in life is free. So there's no such thing as a free lunch, basically. So, of course, they were in Marrakesh. Anna Delvey would be posting these photos, be posting them on Instagram. And you know how Instagram photos don't always say the whole story? And it's not the reason why I'm not active on Instagram anymore. My account's still there. I just don't post as much because I don't see posting much about myself lately. Um, Davis admitted that she was jealous based on what she saw on Instagram, only to realize later what was happening behind the scenes. Wherein this is like a black comedy unfolding right before their eyes because um, they were at Marrakesh, and most of the story was based on the point of view of Rachel Williams because she's the one that ended up getting charged for these expenses at Marrakech. Like they almost got kicked out of their stay in Marrakech because they have no functioning credit card on file. Anna Delvey kept saying that the money would be wired to them as payment, and then uh, compared to the other hotels in New York, somebody or some people supposedly got fired from La Mamunia for letting Anna Delvey's entourage stay without a functioning credit card. A week after that trip, the trainer then got a call from Anna, and this trainer then told New York Magazine about how Anna was hysterical. She's having problems with her bank, with her credit cards, with money, basically. And the hotel, another hotel, was threatening to call the police. So it was the trainer that had to calm the hotel management down. They were like, she's going to be arrested. So this is what normally happens when you're doing coaching sessions whatever your client's problem is, it ends up becoming your problem too. And it's part of the deal. So the trainer felt guilty about it. At the same time, isn't it about time that Anna start being responsible for her own bills, for her own problems? Because a life coach can only do so much. Nothing works unless you do, for the most part. So, okay, she tried what she can to help. Because, okay, she tried to pay Anna's bill in the hotel, Anna Delvey's bill in the hotel. And before she did it, like, she offered a prayer to the universe. Please, universe, help me. If I'm doing the right thing, I'm just trying to help my client. So there, she gave out her credit card number. It failed to go through. Made requisite calls to the bank. Tried another card. Tried to get a friend to use her own credit card. Nothing happened. That's when the hotel realized that, yeah, the problem might be on our end. The trainer, though, took it as a sign from the universe. Oh my god, something is happening here that I'm not realizing yet. Like how many people do you need to wake up from this? Anyway, at the time, she promised the hotel in Casablanca that Anna would make them whole. Mm, they were still believing this notion that Anna can make it, that she can pay all of these because she has paid them before. This behavior sounds familiar to you, isn't it?
Kind of.
Like in the past, they treat you to lunch. In the past, they can pay their bills, um, the pricier ones, and then later on, they can't do jack shit anymore. So, so it was there, and all of these were happening, and Anna Delvey is still acting her titled self because she was trying to she was trying to get back to New York because the hotel that was actually trying to arrest Anna Delvey, that's the one in Marrakech. So unless she can pay that bill in Marrakech, then she cannot go home. So here, Anna Delvey found someone to pay the bill, or at least part of the bill, and then she even had the nerve to ask the trainer one last favor after this. Can you get me first class? Disclaimer, I only had a plane trip once. Not first class, it's economy. I don't know how first class looks like, but Anna
It's
Delvey spoke as if she still had controlled the conversation. Yes, you were saying something?
it's first class is just very roomy, and you get
Oh,
alcohol.
oh, now I know. So it's just the alcohol in the leg room, right?
That's what it was for me.
Okay. And at least you experienced that. I haven't. I experienced economy, and my knees were. I was, I was close to my knees, and maybe you're familiar with that experience if you've been in economy.
Oh, many times.
Well, you're quite tall. I think you're taller than me. I'm only 5'7" last time I checked, and then I get an economy, and then I have my knees close to me in a plane trip. I don't like this, but it's a plane trip. Like, okay, this is fast. Like, whatever. So, and so she eventually got her first class plane ticket, and then a few days later, oh, this is the part where the Tesla story is showing up. So here, she arrived on 11 Howard to pick up her stuff on board the Tesla. Turns out the Tesla was rented, not by her, but someone else rented that for her, which means Anna Delvey can still make other people pay for her luxury. Mm. So here, she's already getting arrogant. Well, she is arrogant, but the more arrogant she gets, the more the bills start coming in. Because here's the thing: she owes the hotel, another hotel, Beekman Hotel, and then she owed this designer, Mark Kramer's, the one I mentioned a while ago, 16,800 pounds, UK pounds. Um, I'm not sure what's the equivalent of that in dollars. And then she failed to pay this designer. And of course, all of the emails are now directed to the financial advisor, Peter Henneke. They're bouncing back. So Anna simply said, Peter passed away last month. Please refrain from contacting or mentioning any communication with him going forward. I was like, okay, so now that Peter Henneke is dead, who would be shouldering these bills? And same thing, she said that the money would be wired over. So there's 11 Howard that she settled with, there's Beekman Hotel, and then there's W Hotel. Soon Anna Delvey was homeless. Of course, she's been skipping these bills for quite so long. It's no longer surprising if she'd end up homeless. So eventually, all of these things have been happening. She can't pay the hotel. She can't pay this designer. She can't pay Rachel Williams. She can't pay the hotel. Like, an intervention needed to happen here. So the intervention was headed by the trainer, by Rachel Williams. Of course, Rachel Williams would be there because we're talking about $62,000 that got charged to her card because Anna doesn't have Anna Delvey doesn't have a functioning card. So that part about Marrakech was quite um, wobbly on my version. I apologize for that. Anyway, about the $62,000, why Rachel Williams got charged on her card? It's like Anna was like manipulating Rachel into paying because she doesn't have a functioning credit card, that she has a problem with the bank, with the money, with whatever. And then, of course, Rachel Williams got pressured into letting her own credit card charge for the Marrakech trip. There's a lot that Rachel Williams had said in her article for Vanity Fair, which is quite fair, pun intended, because she worked for Vanity Fair as a photo editor. Her writing is quite nice, um, and she managed to tell everyone what happened based on her point of view. So here she is promising people a wire transfer, promising the money would be coming over as long as she settled these issues with her bank. It's like, and then she's still thinking that she will finally get that space on the church missions house. Like, the trainer was like, nope, nope, you're not getting out, you're not getting that. So, and then Anna insisted on her part that, yeah, I'm just having these issues with the bank, and then I'll finally get that. It's like, no. The trainer had to put up her iPhone and then show Anna Delvey the news, entitled Fotografiska signs a lease for the entire 45K um, at the Abbey Rosen's building. And you might want to take a guess at what Anna Delvey replied to that.
No fucking way.
Here's her reply, and I quote, That's fake news.
Of course.
Like, look, you've been, like, the trainer was like, oh, she's running out of patience. Please, nobody's believing that you're about to rent that property. Someone beat you to the punch. And you're saying that it's fake news? Really? That's it's also in between these stories, that's when Anna Delvey started crying like, I have been out to pay everyone. Once I get Zilly's signed, like, no, the building has been rented. That's what the trainer said. It's like her facade is already broken at this point, and she's still acting like, see, even the dogs agree.
They do
and
not
in
like Anna.
Yeah, they're kind of saying, "Oh, come on." And you know how dogs have way better sensory perception than us humans. Ah, of course, Anna Delvey, even if she's already locked up in Rikers Island in a jail there, she still finds it hard to believe that Fotografiska, different group of artists, finally rented the building at Church Mission's house. Like, she can't believe it. So by the time that she also got in jail, and much of the credit goes to Rachel Williams because of that, that's when it was busted that her actual name is Anna Sorokin. She is the child of Russian immigrants to Germany. Let me write her name down. Anna Sorokin, the daughter of Russian immigrants to Germany. So at least there's some truth to there to her story that she is the child of Russian immigrants to Germany. On the other hand, her source of income, well, she's. Let me just pause this video here for some emphasis. There you go. She is the child of Russian immigrants to Germany, and the regular people. Maybe it's safe to say that at least a middle class because her father was working in a trucking company, although more recent sources would refer to that company as HVAC, HVAC, the HVAC type of company. And during her first years as this grifter, the person that was actually funding her lifestyle was her father because Anna was telling her father, I have this big break in Paris. Like, okay. I have this big break in New York. And then that's when the father, at least as it was reenacted in the BBC podcast, you always say you have this big break. You always have this big break. I'm the one funding this. Then if you don't want to support me, then I will just support myself. Like, she did not say how, but that's what eventually happened. I just have to change the clip here. Oh, I don't need to. Anyway, so these images that you see, the trip to Venice Biennale, the trip to New York, the partying, it's for the earlier part of her uh, grifting life. It's her father that's funding it, and it's only later that she learned how to raise funds. Chances are she learned how to raise funds from the futurists. She learned how to get in touch with more people, with the artistic crowd, through Michael Zufu Huang. She learned how to avenge herself from Martin Shkreli. And then basically she learned how to skip town when skipping bills. Those were the things that were really identified with her. Because here, eventually, who she really was and what were the actual amounts involved here. Let me just quote a paragraph here from New York Magazine, aka thecut.com, to quote. As it turned out, Anna's hotel bills were merely the first loose threads in a web of fraudulent activity, one that began to unravel in November 2016 after she submitted documents claiming a net worth of 60 million euros in Swiss accounts to City National Bank in pursuit of $22 million loan. The following month, she submitted the same documents to Fortress Bank, or Fortress, that's the name of the institution, in an attempt to secure $25 million loan to a $25 million loan between those two amounts. After that bank asked her for $100,000 to perform due diligence, she convinced a representative at City National to extend a $100,000 line of credit, which she then wired to Fortress. Then, apparently, spooked by Fortress' decision to send representatives to Switzerland to personally check her assets, she withdrew herself from the process halfway through, wiring the remaining $55,000 to a Citibank account that she used for personal expenses like shopping at Forward by Elise Walker, Apple, and Netta Porter. I only know Apple. And then, this is according to the New York District Attorney's Office. And then in April, she deposited, according to the article, she deposited $160,000 worth of bad checks into the same account, managing to withdraw $70,000 before they were returned, which is how she managed to pay off 11 Howard and ostensibly buy the t-shirt to give to Davis and the domain names of the managers of the hotel. That's how she turned the money around. So, going back to the article, in May of 2016-2017, Anna convinced the company Blade to charter her a $35,000 jet to Omaha by sending them a forged confirmation for a wire transfer from Deutsche Bank. It might have helped that she had the business card of a CEO whom she'd met in passing at Soho House, but who says he didn't actually know her at all. And going back to the BBC podcast, the BBC podcast was a mixture of reenactment and actual interviews with people that got involved with her. And that CEO claimed that, no, we only met once. I only gave her a card. That's it. That's all I know about her. It's so easy to deny her now, but if she used that connection to get a chartered private jet, it sometimes it's the kind of convincing power that scares me. Oh well. So back to the article. Um, $35,000, and then she faked a wire transfer. It's really it's really hard to do that. And also, they found a living person by the name of Peter W. Henneke. He refused to give any comments to this. Perhaps he's embarrassed as well that his name got dragged into this. So here she is. Anna deposited two bad checks, according to New York Magazine, into an account at Signature Bank, netting her $8,200, which is how she managed to take what she said was a planned trip to California. And eventually she was arrested in Malibu, brought back to New York to face 6 counts of grand larceny and attempted grand larceny, in addition to theft of services, according to the indictment. Of course, at this time, this is where Anna Delvey would claim, I like LA. Of course, she would like LA because they would rather not have anything to do with her, and it's New York that ended up prosecuting her. Of course, Anna Delvey's lawyer had to speak about this, and he, Todd Spodek, was Anna Delvey's lawyer, and then his client ended up looking like a unicorn because usually his clientele included people that got in for assault, like stabbing someone or attacking someone. Yeah, the let's just say that he's into criminal law. So And this is where Anna Delvey described her stay in prison was something interesting. Like, she mentioned how she met this girl, and to quote, "This one girl, she's been stealing other people's identities. I didn't realize it was so easy." End of quote. Oh, she only knew how easy it is for some people to steal identities, and she wanted to emulate that, which is scary. So, next thing you realize, it's like these people were interviewing her. So, who is she really? Now that people actually know her name. So, Anna Delvey is the persona created by Anna Sorokin. Anna Sorokin was born in Russia in 1991, moved to Germany in 2007 when she was 16 with her younger brother and her parents, who, after being independently tracked down by speaking with New York Magazine, they asked to remain anonymous. Well, maybe for this article they were anonymous. Maybe if you'd like to know more about them, maybe you try to um, check out the BBC podcast as well. At the same time, BBC podcast made it clear in their disclaimer that some of the scenes are fictionalized because if Anna Delvey lied so much about her life, including her name, then maybe a fictionalized account of some of her adventures in New York might sound a little fair in the series, the podcast series. So this is where they mentioned to New York Magazine how she attended high school at Weiler, a small working class town, 60 kilometers outside of Cologne, near the Belgian and Dutch border. So classmates would remember her as quiet, with an unwieldy command of German. Well, she's an immigrant, of course she would have a problem with that. And then the part about him being a truck driver, it was also confirmed here. And they're not very forthcoming about the actual assets that they have. They can only confirm that there is no trust fund. Anna Sorokin is not a trust fund. And eventually, in the podcast, it was mentioned why she changed her name. She's not actually proud of her name, Anna Sorokin. Turns out the word Sorokin in Russia it means magpie, and magpies are often identified as one that like the shiny objects. That's basically what she is, someone who likes shiny objects. Mm. Someone who's a bird would occasionally steal some shiny objects because they like them, not because they can monetize it. I have yet to hear of a magpie that knows how to monetize the jewels that they stole. But if, figuratively speaking, that would be what happened here, maybe that's what she did because she liked shiny things. So she was convicted for that, and the most disturbing thing about here is that Anna Delvey admitted nothing. She was even quoted on New York Post saying, "I'd be lying if I say I'm sorry." And then she told in the interview with New York Magazine that about what happened with Rachel Williams, she said, and I quote, "I am very upset that things went that way and I didn't mean for it to happen. But I can't really do anything about it being in here." End of quote. So she's still feeling entitled to all of these things that are happening. It's like she's offended by the term wannabe socialite because she said she's not a wannabe socialite. So of course she got convicted for grand larceny. She did not get convicted for stiffing Rachel Williams for that. Rachel Williams found a way to monetize that, though. More on that later. Um, she got convicted, and in classic scammer fashion, Anna Sorokin thought that she can monetize on her infamy. Unfortunately, she can't, because here's what happened. And I'll be reading some excerpts from the article from New York Post entitled "Fake Heiress Anna Sorokin May Lose Netflix Payday Thanks to Son of Sam." So it's a weird way to connect Anna Delvey with Son of Sam, but see here. You're still familiar with Son of Sam, are you?
Not really.
Okay. Son of Sam, also known as David Berkowitz, the one that terrorized New York during the 70s um, for killing several people. So let me just read the article here. Faux heiress Anna Sorokin may have inked a lucrative Netflix deal, but she won't be raking in the dough anytime soon, thanks to son of Sam David Berkowitz. So the state attorney general's office is invoking New York's son of Sam law to try and convince a judge that all of the profits from the hotly anticipated Shonda Rhimes produced drama about Sorokin's case would go to her victims. So this was what the Post has learned. So to quote Assistant Attorney General Adele Durand in the recently filed court papers, or well, as recent as July 2019, um, the money sought to be preserved herein constitute profits from a crime. So Sorokin, the end of quote. Sorokin called herself Anna Delvey and posed as a German heiress worth $67 million. Well, that's the estimated amount that the New York Post came up with. And so worth $67 million in order to scam banks and hotels out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So she was convicted in May 2019 after a colorful trial. It was a colorful trial because the judge criticized her for being more concerned about her appearance than the charges against her and sentenced her to 4 to 12 years in prison. And she's more concerned about her appearance because she doesn't want to look guilty. Um, she's preoccupied with her appearance so much that she really put the law firm of Todd Spodek into hell just to make sure that she looks innocent to the best of their abilities so far. So back to the article here. Sorokin inked the Netflix gig long before her trial got underway on June 2018 because she was once incarcerated on Rikers Island. Because the first payout from the deal, $30,000, went directly to her lawyer, Todd Spodek, to cover a portion of his legal fees. So the papers have uncovered. And then the Attorney General's office is no longer contesting that payment, but prosecutors want a judge to block all other disbursements in accordance with the state law, the Son of Sam law, which prevents criminals from profiting off their crimes. So the legislation is named after the notorious serial killer David Berkowitz, who made national headlines for his shocking New York City murder spree the late 70s. And because he was so infamous, it got um, into some movies made in the past. So here, New York Post added, Sorokin was due an additional $70,000 on June 8, 2019 for the Netflix deal, but that payment is now on hold pending the outcome of the suit. So this is the same judge, the judge that convicted her. She actually, well, the name of the judge is Diane Kiesel, and she actually scolded Anna Sorokin for her vanity. She's more preoccupied with her appearance than at least pleading her case that she didn't do anything wrong because she's not sorry. She claims she did not do anything wrong, which is disturbing. I'm normally disturbed by people who keep claiming they never did anything wrong. So it's usually that kind of behavior that disturbs me. And some of the photos that were used, I didn't use the photos that involved her incarceration or the clothes that she used in the trial and the jury selection. Um, but it was described here on New York Post. Yeah, because I mentioned earlier in this episode that most of most of the coverage was done by New York Post because maybe they were enjoying that they got the maybe they were enjoying how they were trolling Anna Sorokin or Anna Delvey then. So let me read this article here. Accused grifter Anna Sorokin had a fashion emergency in court. This was back in March 2019. The 28-year-old Sorokin, who allegedly tricked New York fashionistas into believing she was a blue-blooded German heiress, had her lawyer scrambling to get her a thrifty, off-the-rack outfit for her appearance at jury selection when she was inadvertently brought to Manhattan Supreme Court in a prison outfit. She doesn't like appearing in the prison outfit. So, fearing that the getup from the House of Rikers Island might make Sorokin look guilty, defense lawyer Todd Spodek had an associate run to the clothing shop H&M and spent $200 on something that didn't scream inmate. That's a far cry from the kind of couture from Alea and Balenciaga. I'm not familiar with Alea, I'm more familiar with Balenciaga. And not because I can't afford it. I don't own any Balenciaga. I can't afford that. I'm not that rich. Okay. And then in Balenciaga, a blazer can go for as much as $3,000. I will never understand these price tags. Right. Sorokin wore these while allegedly ripping off more than $275,000 from friends and businesses. So it's New York Post that finally estimated the amount for that was provided in these, and that's $275,000. So she eventually appeared in a court in a black blazer, cropped black capri, and beige sweater. That's one of the photos that eventually got used more often because she still wanted to look businesslike. So also the legal team tried to get her a pair of pointy-toed stilettos, but the Department of Correction deemed them too dangerous. And there's a funny reason behind why they find it dangerous. Are you familiar with the TV series Snap?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Okay, so there was this episode on Snap. It's a documentary basically about a woman who got convicted for murder, and her weapon was a stiletto. Like she stabbed her lover with a stiletto. I never expected stilettos to be that dangerous until that I saw that case. So yeah, if ever some prisons would consider a pair of stilettos dangerous to be kept in prison, it's because of that case. So that's how they basically went there. And also, they also might this might be one of the reasons why we still have no news yet on when a TV series will be coming out, on when it would actually be coming out. It's because she is reported to be that she might be released on parole early 2021. So again, it's another New York Post article that mentioned this. So they called this effort to release her on parole as merit time. So let me just read this. Fake heiress Anna Sorokin, who scammed her way into New York society, has been granted early parole for good behavior and is expected to be sprung from state prison in February, the Post has learned. And Anna has so Todd Spodek then spoke to New York Post saying, Anne has paid her debt to society handsomely, and I hope society repays the favor. So, of course, by this time, um, Anna Sorokin can consistently be described as in New York Post as one who scammed her way by pretending to be a German heiress and by faking some documents to get some loans from banks. So they also explained the part about maritime, according to the New York Post, that they quoted from the Department of Correction and Community Supervision website. Maritime is granted to prisoners convicted of nonviolent crimes who have exhibited an acceptable disciplinary history and have achieved significant programmatic benchmarks. That's how they describe that. So it's like, hey, she's been exhibiting good behavior, so maybe we just release her on parole. So there have been some reports that claim that she would be released on parole and just deported to Germany, and then it's up to Germany to decide what to do with her. Because until now, I don't know what do they mean by good behavior. And when I say I don't know what they mean by good behavior, I don't understand how she can still post on Instagram even in prison. Of course, she doesn't post pictures of herself there. She would just picture or post drawings of herself or in various poses that doesn't look like a prison cell. At least she has some talent in drawing. She could have been successful in that part. And since she's not posting any photos of her from prison, that's when the rumors started circulating that she got married, she got fat, and you expect the part that would really get her offended, the part that she was reported to be fat. Although she also responded to that. Let me read her Instagram post here, referenced by several articles online. It's like, and I would do my best impression of a Russian accent here, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so to quote, Hi guys, thanks for all the letters and words of support. I appreciate it. But please do not show up here to visit me unannounced. I am not making the same mistake of not checking the visitor's identity again, and I won't be accepting any visits from names I don't recognize. So the days of hoping to catch me sleeping are over, and all you're achieving by coming here is wasting your time and interfering with my sleeping schedule. I'm kind of busy, and showing up here at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning slash New Year's Day slash any day is not the way. No, I haven't gotten fat or shaved my head. And no, I'm not lonely or in dire need of your company. And if you did happen to get in touch with me in the past, but I didn't explicitly say, I want you to come see me, it means I didn't want you to come see me. If you feel like you have something interesting to say, you can email me at annadelveydiaries@gmail.com. Write me a letter at Albion or send a DM on IG. And if I want to talk to you, be assured that I will find a way to get back to you. XX Anna. End quote. So yeah, she posted her email address out there and then she encouraged people to DM her on Instagram at the Anna Delvey. That's the account that you can follow. In case you're still interested in her. That is, I haven't followed her so far because if there's still other news about her without actually showing her latest look, then yeah, that'd be fine. So, the aftermath in all of this, of course, if Rachel Williams cannot get back the $62,000 that got charged to her card, the next best thing that's available for her as a solution is write a book about Anna Delvey. And of course, some people were starting to compare. It's like she adopted the format of My Friend Dammer, although in her case, the name of her book was My Friend Anna, The True Story of a Fake Heiress. Now available on Amazon. I don't have a link yet, but I just mentioned that because I'm not plugging it. You're free to buy that book, by the way. But of course, Rachel Williams granted an interview to ABC News, and some people were actually accusing her of monetizing her infamy, or monetizing the infamy of Anna Delvey. Here's my personal opinion about it. It's okay. She can never get $62,000 back. If the only way for her to get that money back is by writing a book about it and be paid heftily for it, then yeah, go ahead. She might even end up getting twice that amount, right? Since interest in Anna Delvey clearly has not yet subsided, and people are still waiting for that um, mini series. So okay, because that mini series has become the butt of jokes at some point, because uh, she was, if you remember me saying that the judge scolded Anna Sorokin for being more preoccupied with her appearance than with winning the case. Actually, she's preoccupied. Who is who should be playing her in a biopic? Of course, she would have wanted Jennifer Lawrence. Too bad Jennifer Lawrence is already signed up to be in the biopic of Elizabeth Holmes.
She's what and she's not and she's too she doesn't fit the age range of what would be classified as playing Anna anyway.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence would fit more of Elizabeth Holmes. And last time I read about that, Jennifer Lawrence is trying to copy the way Elizabeth Holmes has spoke, which, well, good luck to her. Okay, next option for Anna Delvey or Anna Sorokin would be Margot Robbie. How about Margot Robbie?
I don't know how old is she. Well, she's definitely not here. She's not definitely not in the 18 to 23 range. It's gotta have to
Yeah,
be a young actress, somebody that's not well known.
well, that's where Shonda Rhimes went with. I'm not familiar with this actress. Maybe you are. How about Julia Garner?
I don't know her.
Hmm. Yeah, because I was checking here about the working title is Inventing Anna, because that's basically what happened. Anna Sorokin invented a persona, an identity named Anna Delvey. So, and then the actress that was finally confirmed to play her was Julia Garner, who was reported to have gained acclaim by being in the Netflix series Ozark. I haven't seen that, so I'm not familiar with her work.
No, I haven't seen that either.
Okay. So yeah, it's like, and then I saw how Julia Garner looked like, and mm, she doesn't look like Anna Delvey at all. But then again, who knows what makeup can do to her? Who knows if she can do a mixture of the Russian and German accents? Because if if even the people who knew Anna Delvey were confused as whether she's German or Russian or what not, Eastern European, then maybe they can do the accent better. So, of course, because Julia Garner is researching on how to play Anna Delvey, she visited her uh, on Rikers Island, where she's currently serving her sentence for grand larceny, second degree larceny, and grand theft of services. Those are the three charges that were attached to Anna Delvey. So, according to Julia Garner, and I quote, the only thing that I didn't expect is that Anna is really funny. She's actually hysterical, and she's super soft spoken and gentle. So, end of quote. So, that might be the basis for the BBC podcast about her being soft spoken and funny, having this sense of humor. And Julia Garner admitted that she had to leave her biases behind in order to play the character right. Like, again, to quote, going into any part, you can't have too many negative thoughts because you don't want to go into a character judging them. End of quote. And she added, and again I quote, you can't dislike the person you're going to play for 8 or 9 months. End of quote. That might be the average time that, or the estimated time that the taping would go, because it seems like they're still taping despite the pandemic. So, by the way, this actress, Julia Garner, is 26 years old. Maybe she can fit the part. So, yeah. And this is also the same article that mentioned how that Anna Delvey, she's still channeling the Anna Delvey, Anna Delvey character to claim that don't visit me in prison. It's still more about her image, basically. So it's basically the aftermath. We're all waiting for that Netflix series. Then it hasn't arrived yet. It's already December. I don't know if I'd be watching it because I already like the BBC podcast series that was out there, and I'd be recommending that if you're willing to handle or to listen to a partially fictionalized account of the Anna Delvey story, because it's a mixture of interviews and dramatization of what happened to Anna Delvey. And it's also a good alternative if you're not contented with the article that was put out by thecut.com or New York Magazine, or you're not satisfied with the story that Rachel Williams shared, first in the Vanity Fair article and second in her tell-all book. Because so far it's making money. It turned out to be a decent bestseller. There was some negative feedback about the book being a little too wordy. It's like, I don't know how wordy is, but anyway, I've had some articles that ended up so wordy I don't know if it would pass as a book, but Rachel Williams capitalizing on the infamy of Anna Delvey, I don't have a problem with that. Maybe if I finally get a copy of that book, I would make a comment about it. And by the way, I'll just get some books here that made me, yeah, I admit, I'm a little interested in how the rich people live and how they could pull off with such scams. Maybe the scams are not always that grand, but it still ended up making money for them. Yeah, please wait, I'll just get the books. My bad, I should have gotten this before I started. I must have been very nervous about this. But anyway, these are the two books that I have gotten so far. And maybe the titles will give you a little idea about them.
You have a link where they can find the books.
Unfortunately, it's they're no longer publishing these, but the ones that most of the articles related to this book already included the dirt sheets. Like they're like spoilers. It's like a collection of blind items or stories without names, or names were changed, fictionalized accounts of people living the fake life, and also yeah, when shit hits the fan. It's an obviously censored title, and of course there's the sequel. Shit happens. These are the two books that I often use as reference because they were written by. It's like this is what happens whenever you have a book that is finally where the point of view is granted to the evil editor in chief. It's like if the Devil Wears Prada is the point of view of the poor assistant, this book series is in the point of view of the evil editor in chief, like so to speak. So those were the two books that I've had. I have yet to check if they have the other version. They have PDF versions, or if they're still available on the market. I don't see them being available at the market since it offended a lot of people. You know what happens whenever some books get published and a certain group of people get offended, right?
Yes, happens all the time.
Yeah. So if some of these books are no longer in circulation, they're not published anymore, nobody's publishing them anymore. Yes, somebody must have suppressed the copies, and it's so easy to speculate that way. Anyway, so there can be several books written about Anna. They can either contain fluff or they can contain something substantial. And as long as the story of Anna Sorokin is still garnering waves online for being hilarious for what it is, personally, I just view it as a story of how a person used Instagram to gain clout, to meet new friends, meet more people, be influential. Because let's face it, she's an Instagram influencer that learned how to scam people, got convicted for it, and is on the verge of getting deported because it seems like the US justice system does not want anything to do with her anymore. Because, sure, part of the proceeds of the Netflix series might no longer end up with her because of the son of Sam Law, but people are still fascinated with her story because that's what it is. Okay, I may now remove that slideshow just for some final thoughts. Before I give my final thoughts, of course, I would like you to give yours.
Well, I mean, I've seen this too many times, and especially since I grew up watching Scorsese movies, because they always go into sort of the rich world and how people usually screw other people over out of their money because of greed. It's just a matter of greed, and the stuff that they grew up with in their childhood is ultimately how they become the person that they become. And this is just another one of those stories. It's no
Mm-hmm.
different than any of the ones that I've seen in the past, except that this time it just focuses on the events that happened, her being an Instagram influencer, and then her making her way up and then screwing people over through those means that she did in the past. So you're just seeing like a new updated 2020 version of it. And the only way to stop that from happening is to make sure that people don't get that wealthy. And that's why regulations and laws and rules need to be put in place. But especially here in America, those type of laws actually benefit the wealthy more than anything else. There's always a desire to be that wealthy in the first place because of all the benefits you get. Like, it's not a meritocracy in a sense that some people are just born into it and there's an attraction like, oh, if I could just get to them, then I'm good to go. So that's how you stop it. You got to put rules and regulations in place to prevent that type of behavior from happening, because that type of behavior is enabled when you don't keep track of it. And her life was ruined because of it, and then she ruined other people's lives because of it. And people don't want to be associated with her, and she probably doesn't want to be associated with anybody from her past. So everybody loses, and eventually it catches up to you. If you think you can get away with it, you're not going to get away with it. Eventually it will come back to bite you, no matter who you are. So that's my thoughts.
Mm, thank you. That's really a nice way to sum it up, actually. Maybe the main difference really is just that there's Instagram. It's becoming notorious hobnob for people that wanted to create an image that's a far cry from who they really are in real life, as mentioned by the concierge from 11 Howard. So, as for me, final thoughts before I end this episode, of course, is it's so easy for some people to fake their identities as long as there are people willing to overlook that part. Because, yeah, I agree with some of the sentiments that are mentioned in the notes that I've gathered so far about people not caring who she is as long as she gave out those crisp $100 bills. And then they only start calling her out for her bull crap the moment she doesn't have the money anymore. She can't pay. Like, you have to call her out for it. Like, either you pay or you get out. Like, she's not, and her not being sorry is because she wanted to be powerful. So it's easy to believe the part about this not being about the money. It's about the power, the influence that comes with being rich, because not all rich people are influential. And there are influential people who get the money because they know how to convince their way to the top. And she was a work in progress, so it's easier for me to observe her progress as a person because of the people she associated herself with. And it also challenges our notions of what an influencer should be. It's like, how many more Instagram photos can a person post before you realize this is not real? This is just a marketing tactic. There are marketing tactics I don't have a problem with, and there are marketing tactics that are, oh no, I don't support this behavior. You know. So overall, you're free to market yourself any way you want, but the moment you stop becoming authentic, you will have a problem gaining people's trust. So those are the thoughts that I have. Make sure that hopefully Anna Delvey story would serve as a lesson to everyone. When it comes to money and power, you are allowed to improve yourself. You can improve yourself definitely, but never forget your values, never forget your ethics. Because even if you have your ethics, even if you're still doing the right thing, people would still hate you for it. I mean, look at what happened to Rachel Williams. She got so much flack simply because she found um, an ethical way. Yeah, I think that's ethical. She found a safer way to get her money back and profit off of it. So what? There you go. So yeah, thank you very much, Jodini, for staying with me. Hopefully, we get to stay together as well on the next episode. Because on the next episode has no convictions involved yet, but still trended here on YouTube or in other social media sites because it involved another fundraiser that didn't go anywhere. The name of that person is Brian Rose, and we will be talking about him on the next episode of Untold Legends, only here every 9 p.m. Philippine time. That would be 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's just a difference of 12 hours. I really appreciate you stayed here with me. despite the the time differences. And thank you, Joe. See you on the next episode. Bye
Yeah,
bye.
see you. Bye.